Imagine biting into a crispy French fry or a creamy mashed potato, simple pleasures that few people think twice about. Every year, 370 million tons of potatoes must be harvested, stored, and shipped with precision, or entire shipments turn to waste. Potatoes bruise at the slightest impact, spoil within days, and demand perfect climate control. Without AI-driven sorting, cold chain logistics, and real-time tracking, food waste would soar, prices would spike, and millions would feel the impact. But moving them across continents is a race against time, cost, and nature. So how does it all happen? Beneath the soil, millions of potatoes wait, their fate determined by a race against time. Harvesting is delicate, too rough and they bruise, too slow and they rot. Unlike grains, which can sit in the field a little longer without consequence, potatoes must be removed at just the right moment to ensure maximum quality. Modern farms rely on mechanized harvesters, massive machines that roll across the fields, lifting potatoes from the earth while simultaneously shaking off soil, stones, and plant debris. The process might seem simple, but every movement must be calibrated. Too much force and the skin tears, too little and potatoes remain trapped underground. Some of the most advanced harvesters feature AI-driven pressure sensors that adjust in real time, ensuring that potatoes are handled with the same care once provided only by human hands. Even with technology refining the process, harvesting remains an intense, high-stakes operation. A sudden rainstorm can turn firm soil into a muddy trap, forcing delays that can ruin entire crops. Frost is an even bigger threat. If the ground freezes before harvesting is complete, potatoes left underground become useless. Farmers monitor weather patterns obsessively, relying on predictive models powered by satellite data and IoT sensors buried in the soil. These systems analyze moisture levels, temperature fluctuations, and even microbial activity, helping farmers determine the perfect time to send machines into the field. Pulled from the earth, potatoes hold too much moisture to travel safely. Left unchecked, this excess water invites mold, rot, and disaster. Historically, farmers dried them in the open air, relying on sunlight and wind, but this method lacked precision. Now, industrial ventilation systems with controlled airflow remove excess moisture while keeping temperatures stable, preventing premature sprouting or rot. This stage is crucial. If done too quickly, potatoes shrivel. If too slowly, they develop mold. Not all potatoes take the same path after leaving the field. Some are destined for storage, where they will sit for months before reaching markets. Others are shipped immediately to processing plants to become chips, fries, or frozen products. The transportation methods for each vary. For potatoes going into long-term storage, climate-controlled warehouses maintain conditions within a precise temperature range, usually between 45 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Celsius. Any warmer and they start sprouting, any colder and the starch turns to sugar, altering taste and texture. IoT-enabled monitoring systems track every fluctuation, sending alerts if humidity or temperature drift beyond ideal levels. These warehouses are massive, some hold tens of thousands of tons at a time, and every single potato inside is monitored, ensuring that early signs of decay don't spread. Speed trumps storage for potatoes bound for processing. Specially designed trucks, built with shock-absorbing suspension, shield them from bruises that could ruin an entire batch. Without a thick skin like apples or oranges, even a minor jolt can create unsellable dark spots. These trucks are often fitted with GPS tracking systems that allow logistics companies to optimize routes, minimizing travel time and fuel consumption. In regions where distances are vast, rail transport plays a key role. Refrigerated rail cars capable of maintaining stable temperatures across long distances help move massive quantities efficiently while reducing emissions compared to road transport. Some countries, particularly in Europe, rely heavily on these rail networks to move potatoes between farms, warehouses, and processing facilities, cutting both costs and environmental impact. But even the most efficient transportation system can't ignore the reality of perishability. Unlike grains or dried legumes, which can be stored for years, fresh potatoes have a limited shelf life before they lose quality. Every delay in the supply chain increases the risk of waste. In some cases, entire shipments must be rerouted if weather conditions, mechanical failures, or regulatory delays interfere with delivery schedules. This is why modern logistics rely so heavily on real-time data analytics, allowing distributors to adjust shipments dynamically, rerouting trucks or prioritizing certain batches for quicker processing. From the moment they are pulled from the ground, potatoes face an invisible clock ticking down to their expiration. Moving them efficiently requires a perfect balance of speed, care, and technology. And yet, this is just the first stage. The next step, moving them from storage to supermarkets, restaurants, and processing plants, introduces another layer of complexity, where supply chains stretch across countries and the demand for efficiency only intensifies. Once harvested, potatoes enter a fragile stage where improper handling can lead to massive losses. Unlike grains stored for years, fresh potatoes demand strict climate control to prevent sprouting, shriveling, or rot. The moment they leave the field, the challenge shifts from harvesting to preservation. Without the right conditions, an entire storage facility can turn into a waste disaster, costing farmers millions and disrupting supply chains. Storage begins with temperature regulation, the single most critical factor in preserving quality. Too cold and the starch inside potatoes converts to sugar, giving them an unpleasantly sweet taste. Too warm, and they begin sprouting, accelerating spoilage. The ideal storage range sits between 45°C and 50°C, a delicate balance maintained by high-tech climate-controlled warehouses equipped with IoT sensors. These sensors monitor fluctuations in real time, triggering automated ventilation or cooling systems if conditions drift beyond acceptable levels. Some advanced facilities even use machine learning algorithms to predict storage needs, adjusting humidity and airflow based on potato variety, size, and storage duration. Ventilation is just as important as temperature. If air circulation is poor, moisture accumulates, creating the perfect breeding ground for mold and bacterial infections like soft rot and late blight, which can destroy an entire storage unit. Traditional methods relied on simple fans, but modern warehouses use computer-controlled airflow systems that adjust based on real-time humidity readings. These systems prevent condensation, ensuring every potato receives uniform air exposure to keep conditions stable. But storage isn't just about keeping potatoes fresh. It's about ensuring they survive transport. Before moving, potatoes undergo pre-shipment inspections, where trained specialists check for early signs of decay, bruising, or disease. Some facilities use infrared scanning technology, capable of detecting internal defects invisible to the human eye. This process eliminates bad potatoes before they enter the transport system, reducing waste and preventing contamination from spreading within shipments. Once cleared for transport, potatoes are loaded onto temperature-controlled trucks designed to absorb shock and minimize bruising. These trucks use real-time GPS tracking, allowing logistics teams to monitor routes and conditions, ensuring deliveries stay on schedule. Some of the most advanced systems even feature AI-driven logistics planning, which analyzes road conditions, weather patterns, and traffic data to optimize delivery efficiency. If a truck is delayed, distribution centers adjust storage conditions to accommodate incoming shipments, preventing overstocking and reducing spoilage risk. For longer distances, rail transport plays a major role. Refrigerated rail cars, particularly in Europe and North America, move massive quantities efficiently while reducing carbon emissions compared to trucks. These rail cars maintain steady temperatures, and some use vacuum-sealed insulation technology to preserve freshness even in extreme weather conditions. Shipping containers equipped with reefer technology handle international transport, ensuring potatoes stay within safe temperature ranges as they cross borders and oceans. Despite all these safeguards, potatoes remain vulnerable to supply chain disruptions. Delays at border crossings, mechanical failures, or sudden temperature spikes can compromise entire shipments. This is why modern logistics companies rely on real-time data analytics, which allow them to detect potential issues before they escalate. If a shipment is exposed to excessive heat during transport, sensors trigger automated alerts, prompting distributors to reroute or prioritize affected batches for immediate sale, minimizing losses. Even with all this technology, potato preservation remains a high-stakes operation. Every decision, from storage temperatures to transport routes, influences freshness and quality. And with the global demand for potatoes only growing, the pressure on supply chains continues to rise. The next step in this vast logistical network is ensuring these potatoes reach supermarkets, restaurants, and consumers in peak condition, without compromising efficiency or sustainability. Once harvested and stored, potatoes must reach consumers quickly before spoilage sets in. Unlike dry goods, they have a limited shelf life, requiring precise coordination across wholesalers, retailers, and food service suppliers. Large shipments first arrive at wholesale distribution centers, where AI-powered inventory systems track supply and demand, ensuring efficient allocation to supermarkets and restaurants. These centers prevent both shortages and excess stock, which could lead to waste. Supermarkets receive potatoes through regional distribution hubs where predictive analytics adjust shipments based on seasonal demand. Winter brings a surge in baking potatoes, while summer sees an increase in sales for salads and chips. Fast food chains and restaurants operate on just-in-time delivery, requiring frequent shipments of uniform potatoes. Major chains rely on dedicated supply networks with temperature-controlled trucks and RFID tracking, ensuring consistent quality from warehouse to kitchen. Urban distribution presents additional challenges. Large trucks struggle with congestion and parking, leading some distributors to adopt smaller electric delivery vehicles and micro-distribution hubs to shorten delivery times. These strategies help maintain freshness while reducing fuel costs and emissions. Logistics companies also use machine learning algorithms to optimize routes and predict delays caused by weather, road conditions, or labor shortages. Quality control remains essential before potatoes reach store shelves or restaurant kitchens. Automated sorting systems detect bruising, sprouting, or weight inconsistencies, ensuring only the best make it to consumers. Every delay, miscalculation, or inefficiency risks financial loss, and while moving potatoes within a country is already complex, the challenge intensifies when shipments cross borders and oceans, subject to strict international trade regulations and transport constraints. Domestic transport is a challenge, but crossing borders and oceans adds new risks, delays, temperature shifts, and customs restrictions. Global trade keeps supply and demand in check, with over 370 million tons of potatoes circulating worldwide. Countries like China, India, and Russia lead in production, while major importers such as Germany, the United States, and Belgium rely on international shipments to meet domestic needs. Exporting fresh potatoes requires precision. Any misstep in storage, temperature control, or customs clearance can lead to massive losses. Unlike grains or processed foods, potatoes must be transported under strict climate conditions to prevent decay, sprouting, or texture changes. Most international shipments travel in reefer containers, refrigerated units that maintain temperatures between 45° and 50°, preventing starch-to-sugar conversion and preserving quality. These containers use real-time IoT monitoring, allowing logistics teams to track temperature fluctuations and make adjustments mid-transit. Advanced vacuum-sealed insulation technology further protects potatoes from external climate shifts during long-haul shipping. Sea transport dominates long-distance trade, with major ports in Europe, North America, and Asia handling millions of tons annually. The efficiency of shipping routes depends on weather patterns, port congestion, and fuel costs. Some exporters use predictive analytics to determine the best shipping schedules, reducing the risk of spoilage caused by unexpected delays. Air transport, though rare due to cost, is used for high-value specialty potatoes or urgent deliveries, ensuring minimal time in transit. Cross-border trade also brings regulatory hurdles. Countries enforce phytosanitary measures to prevent the spread of pests and diseases. Shipments undergo rigorous inspections, with some nations requiring fumigation treatments or quarantine periods before clearance. Delays at customs can jeopardize entire batches, leading to financial losses for exporters. To navigate these challenges, many companies work with AI-powered compliance platforms that automate documentation, ensuring shipments meet international regulations without costly delays. Despite advancements in logistics, global transport remains vulnerable to disruptions. Extreme weather, political instability, and fluctuating trade policies can all impact supply chains. To mitigate risks, some companies diversify transport methods, balancing sea, rail, and trucking routes. Others invest in blockchain-based tracking systems, increasing transparency and reducing fraud in cross-border transactions. International trade ensures potatoes remain a staple food worldwide, but maintaining quality across continents requires constant innovation. With demand rising and supply chains evolving, the next challenge lies in improving sustainability, reducing emissions, cutting waste, and making global transport more efficient for the future of food logistics. Rising demand pushes transport networks to evolve. Automation, AI-driven logistics, and cleaner energy take center stage. Electric and hydrogen-powered fleets cut emissions, while AI optimizes routes, slashing waste and fuel costs. Long-haul shipments benefit from biofuels and liquefied natural gas, cutting reliance on diesel. Warehouses are integrating solar-powered refrigeration and smart cold storage systems to minimize energy waste. Reducing spoilage is another priority, with IoT-enabled freshness sensors and plant-based edible coatings extending shelf life. Some retailers are shortening supply chains by sourcing from regional farms, while urban areas explore vertical farming to cut transport distances. Blockchain technology is enhancing tracking and customs efficiency, ensuring transparency in trade. As logistics advance, the challenge remains balancing speed, cost, and sustainability to keep potatoes moving efficiently while reducing waste and environmental impact. Every year, hundreds of millions of tons of potatoes move across farms, cities, and continents, feeding billions. Behind every shipment is a complex network of farmers, distributors, and logistics experts working to balance speed, efficiency, and quality. From AI-powered sorting machines to IoT-enabled cold storage and smart transport solutions, technology is reshaping how this fragile crop reaches consumers. Yet, challenges persist. Climate change, rising fuel costs, and stricter trade regulations demand constant innovation. With sustainability at the forefront, the future of potato transport will rely on automation, alternative energy, and localized production to reduce waste and emissions. The world's hunger for potatoes is growing, but so is the urgency for smarter, cleaner, and more resilient supply chains. Innovation will determine whether this staple remains abundant for generations or becomes another victim of inefficiency and waste.